You are listening to the Airline Selection Podcast, where we bring you insights to help you succeed at airline selections. This podcast is brought to you by Airline Selection Program. Please welcome your host, airline captain and major airline recruiter, Guillaume Deboucher.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Airline Selection Podcast, where we bring you insights and expert tips to help you with your airline selection. And today we have our third episode with Mathieu. Mathieu, how are you doing today?
Very good, Guillaume. Thank you.
It's nice to see you again. And in the previous episodes, we discussed how you started your dream of becoming a pilot, how you went through your initial training, and how you succeeded at your first selection with Ryanair and finally got the email after waiting for your emails to finally arrive. And now you are going to become a Ryanair pilot. I think you wanted to ask me a few questions about myself because we've done two episodes already. We talked about your channel, which Matpilote, by the way, Matpilote or Matpilote 737 on TikTok and
Exactly.
YouTube.
I'm showing you the insight of the Boeing 737 flight deck, taking you on some flights. And today I'm very lucky to be with Guillaume, who was a captain with Emirates on the Boeing 777 and as well a recruiter for Emirates. So Guillaume was the guy doing the assessments for the pilots to join Emirates. So if you want to be a pilot, he knows, and he knows more than enough about what the recruiter will ask you for your interview. And today Guillaume is helping you to prepare as the best as you can for your interview with the airline selection program he created, with all his knowledge from his previous experience as a recruiter with Emirates and British Airways.
Yeah, I did recruit for BA. I was a British Airways pilot, but my story is interesting because my story is made of an initial failure, in fact, at Air France, and it hurt me so much that I decided to never fail again. And it's not just a decision. I studied recruitment already as an aspiring pilot, knowing that I had maybe I didn't understand quite everything that they were looking for at Air France. I made a technical mistake, a technical interview management mistake that I understood when they debriefed me. And I went like, okay, if I didn't understand this, what else don't I understand? I can't live my life to chance like this when I have a golden opportunity, something that's going to change my life. And so I studied recruitment books. I'm like you, when I'm motivated, I do a lot of things to reach my goal. And it was a very, very difficult time of my life. Because it ended up costing me a lot. I didn't have an Air France salary now, but not just that. I had no salary at all. I ended up having to spend more money as well to get a flight instructor's degree, a type rating. I got promised a job in Africa that never materialized. It was a despairing time of my life, really. And then 18 months later, I was successful at British Airways. And British Airways invited me at quite short notice. But because I'd done all of this preparation, I was able to make a convincing impression at the interview, something that I did again at Emirates. And in fact, the toughest selection that I've done is the one to become a recruiter.
Really?
Because we were 120 applicants and 6 got selected.
Wow.
I used the same techniques again and I showed my motivation, and I think they could really feel it. There was a lot of work involved for this. In fact, because they sent us an assignment to do. So you could spend 50 hours on the assessment or 5 hours. I spent a huge amount of hours on the assessment. And all of this to say that once I finally got on the other side of the curtain, I got amazed by what I saw. And I went like, oh my God, why isn't this explained to candidates? It would be so much easier for everyone, including for the recruiter. And just a little while ago, I was actually met one of my former colleagues who's left Emirates now. And we met at Pilot Expo in Brussels, and it was so nice. She saw me at the distance. Oh, Guillaume, and she was telling me, I'm still recruiting, and still a lot of candidates don't understand what we are looking for. When we ask questions, not enough comes back. They've not thought about their career and their events and their examples well enough, and for us, it is really exhausting. So what we are teaching you, it's something that is much required for you because it's your career that's going to change if you succeed, of course. And also for the airline, I think things have to change, and it's really needed. This preparation is really needed for you to come relaxed, to come happy to perform, happy to show what you can do, and you give your recruiters a good time, so to say.
It's true. And I took airline selection program course, and I was really amazed with what I discovered because I discovered what the recruiter are looking for, and it was totally different than
From what you thought.
yeah from what I thought. And it's good when you know the truth, then you know how to play the game to perform the best.
Exactly. And a lot of people have this misconception that recruitment is a bit of a fluffy exercise. It's not really scientific in any way. It's not, in fact, now that you've seen the course, it's really quite technical. And the recruiters they have a checklist that they're trying to tick. There are competencies they have to validate. They have a file they have to build on you that they have to defend with management for your hiring to be validated. They are afraid of any risk that you bring to them that could later become a problem on the line or in training. And they are evaluating whether this risk is present or not. And they have techniques for that. Some airlines will have personality questionnaires. Others will have various types of other assessments, group exercises, and all of this comes together in order to build a file. And they all really try and do this in the fairest and in the best possible way. Now, I know a lot of candidates say, it's not fair, we don't understand what they are doing. Still, all the recruiters I know, when they have a candidate in front of them, they do their best for this candidate, and they try and they have a duty both to the candidate and to the airline, to the candidate to treat them as well as possible, because they are pilots. And most likely your recruiter is also a pilot, or at least one of the two recruiters. And they have a duty to the airline also to document this file properly. So what you will discover in the course, it took a lot of time to build, because to build this properly, you have to theorize it, put it into a format that's easy to understand, that's easy to access. For this, you also have to invest in technology so that the training can be accessed at any time and anywhere. Our training is available online and offline through an app as well as in the browser. It took a lot of time to make this happen. And I strongly believe that if you want to learn about recruitment, you need to do this with someone who does this full time. I don't fly anymore. All I do is every day help candidates to succeed and get the life that they've always dreamt of, really. So you'll find that because a lot of candidates, but also colleagues, will think that with a bit of common sense, you can teach recruitment, you will find a lot of trainings around that actually doesn't go into the depth that is required. And the consequence of this on you can be quite significant. And this is really what we want to change.
It's true.
Okay, that was a long monologue again. But now we are going to talk about your initial training at Ryanair. So the initial training is made of the type rating and then the line training.
Exactly.
And just before we start, which one of the two is the most challenging?
Maybe the line training,
Okay.
because you're on the real line with passengers on board, so you feel the pressure of the operations, I would say.
And the variability of the operations.
Exactly.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be a completely normal flight where every passenger arrives on board on time, everything's fine, there's no cargo issues, and then you leave and the weather's perfect? Or is it going to be a day with some complexity where now you're going to have to pull a rule from this part of the book and another rule from that part of the book, negotiate maybe something, and so you don't know, really.
Yeah.
I'd like to touch on this. I'm going to monologue a bit again, but very few people, in fact, I've never heard of a candidate not passing their type rating at any type rating training organization.
Interesting.
Okay, it doesn't happen. Just like during initial training, yes, people can fail their CPL exam, they'll take it again. Eventually, everybody will pass their CPL, their IR, their MCC. And then the same people will succeed at their type rating. Where failure happens, it's of course at the selection itself. We discussed it already. But failure, and that's the most difficult failure to recover from, it can happen at line training. A lot of candidates, and I was in this case, have the feeling that because the type rating is quite complex, because you're learning a complex machine, once you go through it, you go like, wow, okay, it's done. Now let's go and fly the real plane. It's going to be easier. Why? Because during the type rating, you learn about all the failures. And now on the line, the plane is not going to be failed to this extent, at least, right? Sometimes you have a little thing that doesn't work. You go under what's called an MEL and it's okay. But typically you're not going to have an engine failure on every flight like you have in the type rating. But then some candidates don't succeed at the line training. Do you know a few that failed their line training?
Not personally.
Not personally,
Yeah.
but it happens. And when it happens, you get broken.
I can imagine.
Because now you've succeeded at this one airline. You've been through the training, and at the very end of it, they said, we can't keep you. You're not good enough. Why is it so difficult to recover from this? Because emotionally, of course, it's a huge failure. Now you're back at square one. But the problem is, all of the flights that you've done now, they're on your logbook. You can't go to another airline and pretend that this never happened.
Mm.
And how do you think another airline is going to feel now if you have to tell them that actually you didn't manage to go all the way to the end of the line training? It's going to be near impossible. So when this happens, it's the most terrible thing that can happen. I just wanted to set the stage here so we can talk about the type rating now and the line training. So tell me all about the type rating.
Yeah, it was very interesting what you said. So first, the type rating. Yeah, well, the type rating was very organized. You get the first month is like you have the books, you are home, but you have to do the CBT. What we call the CBT is the e-learning online.
Yeah.
So you learn all the technical stuff of the Boeing and all the procedures. Because I did the MCC with Ryanair, it helps a lot, of course, but you always learn something new. So you do all the learning, and then you travel. For me, was to East Midlands in the UK. And then the training starts. So you have the simulator session. The good thing with Ryanair is the training is very well organized. So basically, you know which session is planned in advance. You know what to expect. So you study and it goes well. Like session after session, you see the takeoff, the landing, the failures, and you see every failures. It's very nice because you can go on those full flight simulator, and you get a feeling which is pretty close to flying the real aircraft.
It's amazing. I love the full flight simulator.
Yeah, they are very good. So as a kid, like you get excited because I remember first you do the session on the fixed base simulator. Okay, it's nice. It's more to see the procedures, and then you have the first session on the full flight simulators. Like every control they are real parts of the aircraft. So it's super nice, and I really loved it because the sim partner is because you are always two people training, and I was lucky it was the same guy, and Mike, he was very good with who I did the MCC.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was super nice. Well, the training went pretty well. It was good, but surprisingly, we failed the exam at the end of the type rating.
Oh no.
Just because we had the same instructor at the end, and it just told us something about the fuel, and the examinator was maybe a bit picky, I don't know, doing the exam, but at the end it was good.
But what happened?
Like, we didn't balance the fuel correctly for the engine failure.
Okay.
Because we had contradictory information, and someone failed too many items, and we didn't have time to do them again. So at the end of the type rating, they say, no, you didn't pass. So we were destroyed.
Wow, so it's kind of similar to the...
Yeah. Destroyed. But, it was overall, I think we were good. It was just small stuff. So then we got a call. Okay, you will get one more session, which was super good to train. And 1 week later,
A new exam.
So
one new training session and then one new exam.
Yeah, and then it was done. So, but just to show like everything can happen every time.
Yeah.
So we are mentally destroyed, but at the end we get one more session to train on.
Yeah, it's good that they give you another training session, because otherwise you'd be shaky when you arrive. Your confidence has suffered. It needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah, exactly.
How long after the failure did you get the training session?
Oh, maybe 5 days later.
5 days. It's long.
I don't remember exactly, but I just remember I had time to travel to Toulouse to do my medical check and came back to the UK.
Wow. So you've not been very used to failing. This was it was one of your first encounters with failure?
Yes, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Because
you were telling me you passed all of your TPL subjects in one go.
Everything was first attempt. But then, you understand what happened, and it's the basic technical stuff that you are not prepared properly. And as well, we were two people, and if it depends on all the teams, if we pass or not. So, but then everything which happened, you can turn it positively. And at the end, we got an extra training, which really helps. And
Yeah.
I mean, a sim session is always welcome. So, well, it was not easy, but at the end, it was good.
And some of the audience might wonder what would happen if they would fail twice. Well, at that point, likely the doors will start to close. Yeah, the options will start to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they would have given you a third test?
Probably. I mean, I feel that they were willing to help, but the training session during the type rating, once well, the rating of, like, even the instructor who trained us were saying, "Oh, guys, you're good," and everything. So, sometimes it goes wrong, but not because you are all behind it.
Yeah.
It could be a small picky stuff which put you. So.
Yeah, I think at BA, I'm not sure. At Emirates, for sure, if you would fail once, you'd fail twice. On the second go, you're gonna enter a process, and this process is leading you to probably not making it all the way, not making it to come back to the line. They would retrain you as required. They would try, but there'd come a point. There's a limit to everything.
Yeah, it's true. But what happened for us is the instructor told us to do something, and the examiner was expecting something different. So we discussed with the head of training, and I think they talk internally, and then it was fixed.
So it was quite tough in the end. This type rating just for this one session, it was emotionally tough.
Yeah, what happens, and you need to learn to
learn. And so then you started your line training.
Then the base training.
Base training, of course, yeah.
So then you have this last simulator session where you just do patterns, like 6 landing, and then you do it in the real aircraft. It's like the big moment you wait all your career because you can fly the real Boeing for the first time.
Yeah.
So it was in East Midlands in the UK. We went 4 pilots, and we did 6 landing each ones. So it was like 24 landings in one flight.
Yeah.
You do your best training, then you go home. And then you wait, and one day you see a roster, and I say, okay, your line training will be in Sevilla, in Spain. So I was pretty happy, nice place.
In this case, you have to find out your own accommodation and everything, or do they help you?
Yeah, you do everything.
Oh, jeez.
So my car was still parked in London Stansted Airport, because I was waiting to see where I will do my line training. I went back to the UK, just to do the MAX training as well, because we had to do one simulator.
Training?
Yeah, different training on the MAX. And then I start driving from Stansted to Sevilla. Long drive. And then the line training starts. So basically the line training, just to make sure everyone understands, when you start flying on a line, is not like, as you said, you have your type rating, you can fly. No, your first flight with a passenger is training flights, and the captain is an instructor.
It's not a normal captain, it's an instructor.
Yeah, line training captain.
Line training captain.
As we said. And for me, the first day, so it was like 4 flights, and like short flights. It was Sevilla, Barcelona, Sevilla, Santiago de Compostela, Sevilla. So like 4 flights of 1 hour. Like when you fly on a line, if the flight is 2 hours, 3 hours, you have time to rest during the cruise or to prepare. But if the flight is short, it's challenging. I was lucky, the captain was super nice, and we had to practice those 25 minutes turnaround as well. So, it's a bit challenging.
It must
but
be tough for the captain, with a...
Yeah.
To manage this, yeah.
It's tough. But at the end, you do everything from the training.
Do you manage to do the turnarounds in this quick, or is it just not possible to do it when there's a trainee?
Maybe not the first day, but you still make 35 minutes.
All right, okay.
Yeah. But because, with Ryanair, like the 25 turnaround is like an art, they have documents explaining you how you need to do it. But I'm saying it, I'm proud of it because it's good at the end, you learn to be efficient. And then when you go to a normal airline and the turnaround is 1 hour, you feel like you're losing your time,
Yeah, at BA it was, if I remember, it was 45 minutes to an hour on short haul.
Yeah.
And then on long haul, it's always an hour and a half. So same at BA, same at Emirates, if I remember. Emirates, I'm sure it was an hour and a half. I think BA was an hour and a half too. But there's that different operations have different constraints. When you fly for full service airline, there's more complexity. You have connecting passengers now. You're transporting cargo as well as passengers. There's many more things. Usually you fly from complex airports to turn around an airplane at Heathrow in 25 minutes. it's just not possible. It's
Yes.
almost impossible. So
Exactly, it's true. Like as Ryanair pilot, we knew like if we were landing in Barcelona,
Yeah.
because we have to use the air bridge, we'll be stuck for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
We didn't like it. And if you land in Dublin, the service is so good. In 25 minutes, they will get your aircraft ready
so
to
the air bridge
push
would
back.
pose a problem because people can't get in and out this
Yeah,
quickly, right?
and it's so long. I mean, when you are used to use the
stairs?
steps, the stairs in the front and at the back, you know, in Morocco as well, the ground staff was super efficient, and you knew in Morocco you can turn even a few times with less passenger. We did it in less than 25 minutes because it's very efficient and straightforward. But if you have to use the air bridge, it takes a while. Like
Yes, because now passengers come in only from one door, right?
Exactly.
That's the reason. It's interesting because you must have noticed that Ryanair only uses 737s, okay, which is kind of a real commitment to one machine. And well, personally, it's not my favorite aircraft. Okay, I'm more of an Airbus 320 guy than I really like the 777, but I'm short haul. I like the 320, and the reason Ryanair chose the 737, I'm sure, the main reason must be okay. It's performant. It's got its qualities. You like the looks of it or not. You like the technology and the ergonomics of it or not. But it's got this staircase, this embedded staircase. And what this means is that you can, wherever you go, you don't need an air bridge. You don't need portable steps. You've got your staircase with you.
yeah,
all
it's
the
true.
time.
Every morning, like it's 5 o'clock, you
Yeah.
go to your aircraft parked outside, and you just open it. And I was
Yeah.
opening myself the stairs, and then you jump in. So
And well, you may wonder, why do the other airplanes not have that? Well, of course, the business jets have that. Well, the reason that the A320 is just too high. The A320
Yes.
is a lot higher of an airplane than a 737. It's just not possible to fit a long enough staircase inside inside an Airbus 320. So that's why they're committed to this 737. And it's without that they couldn't do the 25-minute turnarounds.
yeah, it helps a lot.
It helps a lot.
Because the days we knew the air stairs were broken happen sometimes,
Yeah.
like not functional. We knew it will be a longer day because we have to ask for the stairs. And
You have to have the stairs, yeah. Okay, very good. And my line training was also a very short sector on day one. I went from Manston, which was in Kent, to Amsterdam, because I joined an airline which was called EUJet, between my Air France experience and my Air France failure and being successful at BA.
On which aircraft?
On the
was it?
Fokker 100.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that was in the southeast of the UK. And my first flight was like 42 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, I saw nothing. It was like from this you go like, how am I going to ever be ready? And now you realize this is tough. And actually it continues to be tough. I remember the line training continued to be tough because now you have a passenger that is sick. You have a passenger who's drunk. You have and then you have to offload them. And so there's rules about that. And the captain tells you, so what do you do now? You know, and okay, you have to look for their bags. You have this, all of this and now you have to do a search of the rows before and after them. You have to do a hat rack search to make sure that they didn't leave anything. And so there's a rule for every situation. And I did 40 sectors. I mean, today, I think at Ryanair, you do a lot more sectors, right?
I think 80 or 88, something like this.
Yeah. So EUJet was a fairly easy operation, easier, I think, than Ryanair. But anyway, so tell me about this line training, how it went when you started to get a bit more.
So the first flight, you are three pilots because you have a safety pilot. In case the captain get incapacitated,
Yeah.
you need someone
Yes.
trained to land
Yes.
the aircraft. And maybe after, I don't know, 10 sectors, you don't have this safety pilot anymore.
Right.
And then, I mean, the line training is very organized. You have items you need to check. You
Yeah.
do the normal flights. And then the captain need to tick the box like, okay, he can make a PA, he can land the aircraft, he can do winter operation, he can do this. And
Yeah, there are discussion items as well on
exactly.
on wind shear, for instance, and hopefully you won't encounter actual wind shear. So although you have just to make it a discussion. What would you do? So they expect that you have prepared and they show you in the book where it is and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Every flight you have to prepare. And because everything is new, you have a lot of questions on the operations. And then you get used to it and you get more familiar.
Was there a point apart from the beginning where it got difficult and you thought, oh, maybe I'm not going to make it, or this is getting really tough, or you got a bad grade, or?
No, well, overall it was great. You know, you can feel your progress improving. I would say the challenge is, you know, every day you have to do the landings because you have the aircraft in the control. You are not that experienced, and the landing is kind of the part like something can happen. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I was flying late. Like, so you go to bed at you go to bed late, and then I had one day to rest, and the next day you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was a bit tired. And coming back from Ibiza, landing in Sevilla, maybe I was a bit tired. The landing was a bit hard, but still within limits. You know, it's the small stuff which happens.
Not your best landing, but
not my best landing. I mean, but I think everyone did at some point a landing.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, some pilots will tell you that, some instructors will tell you that a good landing is actually supposed to be a bit firm, because performance-wise, that's actually you'll stop the airplane quicker like this. So we're not talking about a massive.
It's true.
But most of us, we like to do a nice kiss landing anyway, because we're not really performance restricted on most days, and we're just happy to land in the right place in a soft way.
Yeah, it's what we try all the time, even
exactly.
with
So
Ryanair.
when we don't do it, it's like we feel, you know, our ego takes a bit of a hit. So
it's true. But overall, it went great, and finally I got released and signed for the line training.
And with the few minutes that we still have on this, do you want to tell us about the life at Ryanair, how it was?
Yeah, so then the line training is finished, and then at the end you get a base and a contract. For me, I got Dublin, and the roster was, you know, Ryanair is always...
Dublin or Sevilla? Then Sevilla was just for the line training?
Sevilla was for the line training. And then when I finished the line training, I still had the first contract, and they needed people in Lisbon. So the rostering department called me, can you go to Lisbon for 2 months? I said, okay, no problem. Then I went to Lisbon, and after this, I discovered my base will be Dublin.
Wow, so they expect you to drive your car like this, to take yourself to all these bases? When they change you, but they expect you to...
Yeah, you have to do everything.
God, okay.
But, you know, when you start, you're so happy to fly.
Yeah.
I was so happy and motivated. I was like, whatever they will ask, I was willing to do it.
So you started in Lisbon, actually, right?
Yeah, then I did 2 months in Lisbon.
Okay.
But then they reduced the base. So then they sent me to Dublin.
Okay.
And then Dublin was very interesting because they had like more than 100 destinations. So every day you fly to a new place that you don't know about, and you discover a lot. It was a good place. And then I managed to get Morocco, Fez, which was nice as well.
Wasn't that when you were in Fez that you had this flight where you saw this 25-year-old captain?
Yes, then I was based in Fez.
No, but when you were very young.
Yeah, exactly. When I was very young, I saw this captain based in Fez.
He was based in Fez.
And they were doing this flight from Marseille to Nantes.
Oh, right.
And yeah, at the end, 5 or 8 years later, I was based in Fez doing this exact same flight.
It's funny that you say that, because I had you remember, if you know my story a bit, being a pilot was a second career for me. I started it at 27, but I had 3 years where I was an engineer in telecommunications engineer, and it was a time when telecommunications were booming. The internet just started, mobile phones and all of that. So I was traveling the world as a young exec, and I had to go. I was sent to Australia from Sweden, and the Bangkok, Sydney, Melbourne was done with British Airways.
Oh.
And I was in business class. I was lucky they gave me a business class ticket because it was very, very long. So that was what this company did. And so I was sat on the top deck. And so on the Sydney Melbourne, I asked to go on the flight deck.
Oh, nice.
And they said yes. And so I had two two British Airways pilots who were there landing their 747 with me in the cockpit in their, of course, BA uniform. And at that point, I didn't know that I could become a pilot. I still had this thing with my eye, and they told me about their lives. I asked them, I said, so what's your life about? Like, oh, well, we're coming back to London, and oh yeah, I've got 5 days off, and after that, I'm going to Tokyo. And I looked at this cockpit. I looked at the view outside. I looked at these guys, and I went like, this is just what I want to do. Like what am I going to present my solutions and spend hours in a meeting room with my computer now doing this job as an engineer? I don't know. I want to do what they're doing. And isn't it funny? Like
It's how life works.
7 or 8 years later, as a French guy, I was wearing their uniform, and I maybe actually flew with one of the guys, particularly maybe the co-pilot.
Oh, it's true, yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Well,
Anyway.
it shows you need to have a dream and find what motivates
Yes.
you, and then life will bring you to the...
Yes, and in your case, you had, although you were very motivated and you passed initially right away, okay, so you didn't have to go through the pain that most of those who are watching now will sadly go through, because either you didn't prepare the first time and sadly you didn't make it work, or you are in this really difficult market situation for most low timers, which is you're going to have to wait. But I was in the same situation as you, if you're having to wait, because the market I was in 2001, 2002, 2003 was the same that you're having now. Congested, competition, difficult. You send letters, you don't get answers. I always told myself, I'm going to stay in front of this door. When the others get discouraged, I'm going to stay there. I'm going to maintain my skills. I'm going to continue to work on my recruitment skills. The day the door opens, I'll get in, and I'll be the first one to get in. And that's what happened. When I got into BA, I was one of the very first to answer to the recruitment campaign. As a result, I got interviewed one of the first. And I went very quickly from one stage to the next. Within 3 weeks, I was hired. It was like incredible. I mean, 18 months before, I had this disaster at Air France, and now, although I'd prepared well, and now all of a sudden I was the first French guy to succeed at BA. It was like such an incredible turnaround. But what happened is because I was one of the first to apply on this recruitment campaign, very quickly a lot of people joined under me. And although I was junior, I got seniority quite quickly.
Oh, nice.
And so that's always apply early in any recruitment campaign. When a recruitment campaign opens, don't wait for 3 weeks. And then you're going to tell me, well, what if I don't have a letter that's ready and a CV that's ready? It should be ready. Okay, you should have only minor adjustments to make to adjust for a new airline or a specific position. It should be ready so you can apply immediately. Of course, don't send documents that aren't ready. Okay, it's better to wait a few days. But if the recruitment window is 3 weeks, what do you think happens to the ones who send their application on day 21? Well, it's likely that they're going to be invited last and that all the positions have already more or less been filled by those who applied initially. That's just the way it is. Okay. So always be ready to succeed. Okay. And to that effect, if you are in this phase when you are waiting now, you're waiting 3 to 6 months, what is there to do? Prepare for your selection, although you don't have a date. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people wait until they have a date to start preparing. But sometimes you get invited within 2 or 3 weeks' notice, like you did.
Yeah, it's always like this.
Yeah. Fly Dubai recently had right now there's this geopolitical context, but just before they issued an invitation for a Teams interview, or I think it was a higher view, 5 days. A lot of candidates wrote to me, going, oh, what do I do? How do I do? I said, well, did you prepare? What do we do now? So we have to try and train them in an accelerated way just to pass this higher view. It would have been better if they would have been on advanced interview course beforehand and just to have to make minor adjustments with the 5 days that they have left. So good. So this takes us to, so we were on the life on the line with Ryanair, and then, so you loved being in Dublin. What else? You went to Fez.
Yeah, I went to
and
Fez.
we ended up flying with in the same environment that those guys were in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how was the life in Fez?
Well, Fez was nice. I spent the winter there, not flying much. And then I moved to Lanzarote.
Okay.
In the Canary.
Okay.
And then Tenerife. The Canary were nice because we only had long flights.
Right. Nice. Much nicer, right?
Yeah, much nicer.
Yeah.
So because from Fez we were doing like you fly to Toulouse, you come back to Fez, and then you fly to Marseille. So in one day you have like 9 block hours with 4 flights. So it was kind of some long days, but interesting because you are in a French environment. And then in the Canary I was like the only French people, but the flights were long and nice. So
it's when you do short haul and you manage to do like 3.5 or 4 hour flights, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Because you have the advantage of, because it's short haul, you don't have jet lag.
Exactly.
And you don't have the inconvenience of being in a rush all the time. You can enjoy, your meal. You can enjoy a bit of reading maybe, and Yeah, it's the best way to fly for me. Like if you do short haul, is to find a place that gets you to do 3 or 4 hour flights.
Yeah, exactly. From Tenerife, it was like you fly 4 hours and then 4 hours back.
Yeah.
And then even we were flying to Warsaw, so it was like 6 hours and 5 hours and 40 minutes. So you log 11 hours in one day.
You managed. You can come back. You have enough.
Yeah, it was legal on
It
the
was
limit,
legal,
but
on the limit.
still legal.
Wow. Okay. Good. And so tell me about the life at Ryanair. Apart from changing bases like that, how was they're famous for having this really stable roster.
Yes. Ryanair is super nice if you live where you're based.
Yeah.
Because then, average, I was flying 10 days a month, no more.
Oh, wow.
And you're always back home at the end of the day. But the thing is, some people, they have family back in France. So during the 4 days off, you work 5 days. And you can take every flights for free.
Yeah.
So during your 4 days, sometimes you go home. But then you don't have time to rest much. And
So you can take every flight for free. That's the Ryanair staff travel.
Yeah.
You can have a firm seat.
No, it's
a standby?
jump seat in
jump seat.
uniform.
Okay.
But it's very useful because they have so many flights.
Yeah.
And you can make any connection you want in Europe.
Okay.
So it's very useful to go home.
Okay. But so tell me about the pattern again, the 5-4, 5...
5-4. So you work 5 days. You have the morning flights. Because Ryanair is the only airline, I think, in Europe, they don't fly at night. So it all start at maybe 5 or 6 in the morning. And then you fly until the half of the day.
Yeah.
And then you have one crew for the late flights.
Yeah.
So 1 week, 5 days, you have the early flights. So during your 5 days, you can fly the 5 days, but it's not always. And sometimes you have just standbys. And then you have 4 days off. And then you start again on late if you were on early before. Same 5 days, but generally you don't fly the 5 days. And then you have 4 days off. And again.
So it's 5-4, 5-4? I thought it was 5-4, 5-3.
No, 5-4, 5-4.
5-4, 5-4. Okay.
The cabin crew, they have 5-3.
Mm.
And the pilots, they have 5-4.
And this is good because you can plan your life very far ahead because it never changes, right?
Yeah, it's good. That's the good point.
I think right now they were really smart with this because, if you tell me, for me, becoming an airline pilot, I wanted to be an Air France pilot. I managed to be a British Airways pilot, which comes pretty close, okay? I always wanted this experience. And when you're telling me that I'm now an employee and I would have to drive my own car from one base to another, I would go, wow, you must be kidding, But if that's the rule of the game, that's the way Ryanair does it, that's fine. But I personally, I wouldn't have liked that too much. But then the way that they've managed this to give pilots what they could not have elsewhere, which is to sleep in your own bed every night and to have this really stable roster, that's fantastic because at BA on short haul, you don't have that. At Air France neither. At Emirates, you don't have that. You discover your roster on the 17th, sometimes 20th or 21st day of the preceding month. And now you have to scramble all of your medical appointments and all of that with the 9 days you have to the end of the month. And it's very difficult to plan anything. This Ryanair roster, it's very appealing.
Because they like to save money, they give to the people the things which doesn't cost them, and it's time and stability.
Yeah.
Because they save on the hotel.
Yeah.
But the pilot who were happy is the pilot who are living in the base assigned, because then you can have your life and just sometimes you go flying. And
Very good. And so in the end, you left Ryanair, and we are not going to say where because we said we're going to protect your anonymity. That's actually how we ended up meeting, where you went through the course.
Yes.
And so, do you miss Ryanair?
Of course, I miss a few things of Ryanair.
Yeah.
What I would have liked is to be based in France, where I live. But on the roster, on the app, you can say, okay, I'm available in Marseille. And sometimes during the days off, they were calling me 1 hour before. Oh, we need you in Marseille. Yes, I'm home.
Okay.
I'm coming. So I worked a few times from Marseille, which was nice. Of course, when you leave Ryanair, you miss the training, which is very well organized. And you miss the operation, very stable, and the aircraft very well maintained as well. Like the maintenance. They are workers and they work great. If they are the number one airline in Europe, it's because they work there's no secret.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I when I joined Emirates, I was paired for my type rating with a Ryanair co-pilot. So he was 27 or 26. So I was 40. Okay, well, 39. And remember, I flew the 777 at BA. So I flew 320, then 777, and I arrived at Emirates to fly the 777. So I had to do another type training because that was the partner needed it, and it was budgeted like this anyway. They actually sent us to Seattle to do it because they had not enough sim space. Yeah, it was cool. We had two instructors who were retired. So one of them was a former Top Gun instructor.
Wow.
And the other one, they both went to Vietnam. They had some incredible the careers they had. These guys were like fantastic. Anyway, I was so surprised to see that. I mean, I was type rated. I had like almost 1,000 hours on the 777 already. And I thought I'd been trained, I was trained at BA. The training was excellent at BA, no doubt. But the level of procedural application that this colleague had, and his knowledge of the FMS in particular, and all of the intricacies of the FMS, I didn't have to the same level. Wow. And then I was shocked. I went like, oh my God, not only is smart, but he's been well trained, no doubt. And later when I was in recruitment, we really always liked the Ryanair candidates because, yes, they'd been well recruited. They were smart. They were now experienced, so the risk of a problem was reduced. But also they had been formatted by a very high quality training. And that's why we like them so much.
Yeah, it's true. Like the basic is you do the procedure. You're not here to invent things or do it your own way.
But at the same time, let's bring some perspective to this, because if something happens that's out of the ordinary, you're supposed to know how to go outside of SOPs. No, not every day is the same. Of course, if you have an operation like Ryanair, which is very straightforward, no connecting passengers, no cargo, or hardly any cargo. I don't know, but there's no cargo, right?
No, only spare aircraft parts.
Okay, only spare aircraft parts. It's very simple in this way. Then fewer things can get out of the ordinary if all you do is point to point and, but still, some things can happen. And I often use the landing in the Hudson example where, to me, a modern airline pilot is very much, airlines like the idea of a pilot that's like Sully, He looks very professional, someone who knows his procedures, someone who looks like he's a very good technician, as well as humanly very, very smart and very good at what he does. But then if on the day something happens, he didn't get stuck on his procedures.
That's true.
And that was wonderful to see, incredible to see, really. So this could happen on if something happens, and following the SOP, I often say that, is following the SOP is less safe than not following the SOP. You have to remember the number one SOP, which is the captain is supposed to take a safe course of action at all times, even if it means deviating from any regulation or standard operating procedures. That's actually the law. So, good. Excellent. So, Mathieu, it was just so nice to see you. We're gonna likely do some more sessions like these because we found out that we're neighbors now. Probably talk a little bit more about recruitment because I know that through the course you got very interested in this as well and very curious on what it was to be a recruiter and everything that I've also experienced in my life. So, but for now we're just gonna close it, unless you have something else that you would like to discuss.
Well, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you, Guillaume.
Remember that if you want to know more about Mathieu, that he's got this fantastic channel. He's got actually 3 channels, one on Instagram, Matpilote with an E at the end. And then he's got one on TikTok, Matpilote with an E737. And on YouTube, same Matpilote E with a 737. He has this wonderful way of showing his flights. It's quite different to the other influencers, because you're an influencer now, huh? We can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I became.
Where you'll get to really understand the airline pilot role very well, going through his videos. It's well shot, it's well edited, it's just nice. So go and subscribe. And then if you like this video, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you get to know a bit more.
And prepare for your interview with Guillaume, of course.
It will be my pleasure. I always like to see new candidates and help them and see them transform and get the life that they always wanted. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by Airline Selection Program, a company that is focused on helping you succeed at airline selections. Our flagship course, Advanced Interview Course, has helped hundreds of pilots just like you become successful. Visit our website at online.airlineselectionprogram.com and find out how you too can get the job of your dreams.